Oh, Hugh McDonald. I am joined by a football connoisseur. So, just going to ask you a few random questions for my TikTok page, if that's all right with you.
No
So, what brings you here today, first of all?
What brings me here today is work, really, because I do a feature for the Daily Mail called On the Road.
Right.
And it really goes around grassroots football and the stories about it. Today's, of course, a special day here. It's Groundhoppers Day here, so there's a couple of dozen groundhoppers here to get the history of Atherley, to see where it's going, tell their own stories, so that's why I'm here.
Brilliant. So, kind of you became a groundhopper by default with the job then?
Very much by default. I mean, I suppose I was always a groundhopper in that I've always been professional. I always went to grounds and had the joy of being paid for it. But when my son came along, and what we did is, and my daughter, we went to grounds, usually still in Albion, believe it or not, we followed them. But as they got older, my son started following Dortmund, so that was the first time we really went abroad. So we still go to Dortmund games.
So that kind of explains your love for German football then as well?
Yeah, very much so. And the German culture of football, which I really enjoy. So I've been all over with my son. I've been in Argentina, I've been in Qatar, been in Germany, France, down to England as well. So we've watched quite a few grounds.
So you remember, of course, you're just a wee bit old enough to remember the original Stirling Albion ground, Anfield then, is that right?
Oh, very much. So
would that be your earliest memory of football?
No, I was from Glasgow, so it'd be my son's earliest memory because we lived in Stirling at the time, and that was the first game he went to, Stirling Albion v Montrose. That was the first game he went to.
What year would that be, Hugh?
Oh, well, I'm just trying to think. He was born in 85, something, 89.
Right.
He was only 3 or 4 at the time. My first games were with Shelton Juniors at Greenfield Park.
Wow.
I would go with my grandfather, but that would be the late 60s, and I went with my other grandfather to Celtic Park in the late 50s, would you believe?
Right.
So I've been watching football in 8 different decades.
8 different decades. So tell me, if you can, I know it's a sort of vague question, but what's the biggest difference in football in that over these 8 decades?
Well,
for good and for bad, say.
Well, for good, it's become an awful lot safer and more comfortable.
Okay.
In the old days, when I think back in the old days, I'm thinking back to games. I was at Celtic Leeds at Hampden Park. They say there was 130 odd thousand there, but there was more because the gates went down. So football in the old days, it was unsafe. It just was.
Do you mean from an attendance point of view?
Yes.
Right. Because that's something that people never really discussed, to be honest. I know you had obviously tragedies like Heysel and Hillsborough and stuff, but never. Ibrox, of course, that's right.
That match.
Oh, were you? Right, okay.
I was up at the other end, you know.
Right.
So yeah, that was great. I'm surprised actually there wasn't more tragedies when I look back. So
because was it just like everyone was crammed in there?
Everyone just crammed in. There was and you were swaying in the crowd, and that was the good about those days. Of course, was it was more accessible, and the grounds were bigger, so you didn't have to go through all the ticket things. The thing I loved in those days was you could choose your own spot.
Right.
You didn't have to sit in the same seat.
Yep.
So you and your mates could meet, and you always knew where your mates would be standing when you went into a ground. So, and I remember when Ali was young, going to Anfield, you could literally, it was a big stand, so you could let him run around that. Just keep your eyes on him, and he wasn't trapped in a bucket seat. So there was good and bad about it.
Right, okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. Because my granddad and my uncle used to tell me about the days where you could like swap hens at half time. You'd walk around. And even times like in the 7-0, so I'm a Hibs fan, so the Hibs Hearts 7-0 derby in 1973 New Year's Day. So you're like walking past Hearts fans at half time and you're 5-0 up. And it's like, I find that fascinating now because that just wouldn't happen now. Because it's a lot more tribal now, isn't it? And probably a lot more hostile.
Even it's still in Albion. When I went with my son one day at Anfield, they said, you can't go in that end. And we said, why not? He says, because Meadowbank's in that end. And that's the Meadowbank. So segregated, and we get in there, we looked at the Meadowbank. There was like a dozen.
I know, I was going to say.
There's a dozen in this vast state. So, yeah, that's all changed. The atmosphere around it. The crowds were huge and loud and raucous. But But Scottish football's still loud and raucous,
Yes,
you know.
it's one of the reasons I love Scottish football. In fact, is because it's kind of retained that authenticity, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
So over, I know it's maybe a bit of a hard question for you to answer because you've been in probably thousands of games. Is that fair to say?
Probably. I mean, aye.
So what would you say is give me your favourite ground?
Oh, I mean, favourite grounds. Well, there's so many categories for favourite grounds.
So go with favourite Scottish ground.
Favourite Scottish ground outside, I'm a Celtic supporter. Favourite Scottish ground outside that would be Capello.
Right.
'Cause that's an old style ground.
Yep, great, love it.
With the you know, that industrial area round at the crane.
Yep.
And all that takes you back.
And the cowshed roof.
Cowshed roof. That was a game I went to very, very young. I saw Stevie Chalmers score for Celtic there. So I don't know, well, that'd be in the 60s obviously, so it's a ground I went young. And abroad, I've been so many great grounds abroad. I think Al Bayat Stadium in Qatar was astonishing. So was Lusail. I saw Brazil play there. In Germany,
Is that in terms of aesthetic? You mean like stunning like in Qatar? Because modern, yeah.
just beautiful. The wall at the Westfalen in Dortmund, and but abroad, I would say my greatest stadium would be the Bombonera in Argentina. Buenos Aires.
That's on the bucket list.
That was just. I went to 3 games at that stadium, and I was at a Copa Libertadores semi-final there, and I was there with my son, so it was a night of nights.
Brilliant. Sounds great. And a couple more questions before I go. What would you say? Who would you say is the best footballer you've seen live?
Maradona, no doubt about it.
Didn't even hesitate there, did you?
No, saw him 1979 at Hampden, and he's
Yeah, a young boy then, wasn't he?
Aye. I think it was his first goal for Argentina was at Hampden.
Right.
And he was just absolutely unbelievable.
Even then?
Oh,
Because he'd only be maybe 17, 18 then?
he was a teenager, and it's actually fed into a Maradona pilgrimage, because I went to La Bombonera where he was. I went to Argentina's juniors,
Right.
where he started. I've been to Napoli, where there's the Maradona mural.
He's a god there,
I
isn't
went
he?
to Seville where he played as well. So I followed a pilgrimage of it. Maradona's the greatest start scene.
And in terms of like, you don't think Messi comes close to him, or?
Not for me, but I mean, it's all subjective.
Of course it is, that's right.
I mean, it's like, I wouldn't talk down. Messi's absolutely astonishing.
Phenomenal. Longevity for Messi, isn't
Aye,
it?
Pele was. I'm always embarrassed to say Maradona in front of Pele, because Pele made so much. But Maradona made the greatest impact on me. Maradona just like, when I saw him live, I just said, if you talk to players that were in that Scotland team at the time as well, Alan Rough, Ian Munro, Kenny Dalglish, they all talk about Maradona as like like Dalglish talks about Maradona as somebody from a different planet, didn't know football. But it's all subjective. I mean, you're not going to talk down. If somebody said to me, Messi's the greatest player, I'm like, well, fine. I mean,
Of course, it's a matter of opinion, that's right.
I mean, there's no, but Maradona made the greatest impact on me, and I remember watching the Mexico World Cup, 86, and he was just, if you'd have put Maradona in any team at the World Cup that year, including Scotland, they would have won the World Cup.
There you go, that's a big statement. We'll bring it back to modern times. This season is seeing an opportunity for the first winners outside the Old Firm to win the league maybe in 40 years.
Yep.
Are you on the Hearts bandwagon? Obviously I know you're a Celtic fan, so obviously you want Celtic to win the league. But in terms for Scottish football, what do you think about Hearts' potential title challenge?
I think they've got a good challenge. I think they've got a good side with a manager that's a solid manager. They've got a lead in the league, and they will have, even as we speak, they're 5 points clear. But what happens tomorrow, they'll go into Monday with a league.
Psychologically, a win would boost them tomorrow, wouldn't it? Massively.
Absolutely. And I think that I never fancied Aberdeen last year. Even when Aberdeen were clear, I just thought that was. But I think Hearts have got more about them.
Well, they've got a manager with Scottish football experience, and I think that's huge, isn't it?
And they've got a good squad. They've got a
They
good
have.
squad. They're not playing European football.
And they're out the cup as well.
They're out the cup, so they're fresher. And I think there's questions around both Celtic and Rangers.
There is indeed. There's never going to be a better opportunity, I would say.
Well, certainly in the short term, you would think that, wouldn't you?
Okay. And today's game, I better ask about today's game. Arthurlie FC versus Drumchapel in the Western Premier Division. Any predictions?
Not really. I'm just interested. I mean, it's a very, very tough division, as you know. It's very, very competitive division. So, I mean, after they played Trinent in the All League here, and they drew, and then they went to penalties.
That's right. It
So
was a tight game.
so that suggests they're a decent side. But Drumchapel have been playing well. I'm just looking forward to it.
So am I.
basically.
And before we go, you're going to have your piece in the Daily Mail, is that right?
On Monday.
On Monday, that's what I was going to ask, on Monday. So if you're watching this, or if you're at the game today and you want to see a piece, Daily Mail this Monday, great. Hugh McDonald, thank you very much.
Thank you.